Right. So you put these rules of engagement in place. You say, as a community, we agree to work together this way. Are we cool? Okay, we're all cool. We agree to work together this way. And it may change, but for now, we agree to work together this way. And there will inevitably be circumstances where not everybody agrees. And there is a mechanism in your bylaws or constitution that says, when we don't agree, this is how we will resolve the issue. And we will accept the fact that sometimes we are opinions, but nonetheless, we're going to make a decision and move forward. Okay, so we got a lot of hands. I'll go here and then here.
Yeah, you wanted to come and check up cars or what?
Thank you very much for your exposition. I just want to tap on the question that Mr. Johnson asked concerning people trying to incite certain things within the Constitution if it is not there. I just also want to gain your perspective on ambiguity. When there is a conspicuous ambiguity within the Constitution, right, which I heard someone talking about is implicit and explicit. It is not quite explained. What would be your perspective on that? Is it okay that people try to formulate a legislation and incite it, thereby explaining that identical ambiguity? For example, if the leadership were to be punished, but it's not clearly specified what sort of punishment it is within the Constitution. Thank you.
Okay. I'm hearing words like discipline and punishment more than I want to, because I don't think that is an ideal approach in general, but I will respond. So, in general, it's never the case that everything can be specified in bylaws or policies, because there's so many unique circumstances. And that is why you have a board of directors. I'll give you an analogy. In Canadian law, we have legislators, the parliamentarians, they make the law. But the law is not always 100% clear, and that's why we have judges, right? Because the judges will say, well, that's the law, but in this specific scenario, there are these variables, and so here's my interpretation of the law, and they make a ruling, okay? So in this circumstance, it's always going to be the case that your bylaws or constitution will not necessarily cover everything, and the general authority to interpret a decision would be the board of directors, right? If the board of directors sees that there's a scenario having and they realize they have to provide leadership and a decision on a scenario, then they can do that. However, that may also trigger a conversation that, you know what, there's a gap in our constitution or our policies, and the governance committee should go off and make a recommendation. They're excited about the bylaws. Where's the other mic?
Three Liberian flag, two Grand, two Nima Kante, one Grand Basso. Okay, I got it.
He outside. You're not inside.
Hello. Okay. So in summary, at a given moment, if we must deal with a question, as it stands, we have a mechanism in place, we have a process, we have a board of directors that can decide how we're going to proceed with this scenario. The board still needs to operate within the Constitution, but sometimes you have to interpret or figure out what you should do. So we do have a group that has the authority to decide how to deal with a given scenario. If it seems to be the case that this scenario may be recurring, or that there's a gap in the direction that our policies and Constitution are giving us, then there can be an activity to update the bylaws or policies. To update the bylaws or policies, the recommended process is to have a governance committee of people who are capable around this topic, because there is a bit of expertise around good governance, and they can sit there and thoughtfully look at how decisions should be changed or policies should be changed, and they would recommend it, so they'd bring it to the board of directors, and the board would vote, and then there would be an update to your policies. So that would be the mechanism. Okay. Who's first? Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. I got a little concerned. I want to get your personal view on this or perspective. Given the understanding of LAC and its constitution, LAC as a non-profit making organization has a composition of board members. And each member city or state or whatever is represented on the board, maybe 2 members or so, and every outgoing leader, president, also is sent automatically to the board and continue to increase the number. I just want to get your personal perspective as a corporate governance lecturer.
Yeah.
What do you think would be the actual composition of our board, giving us as a non-profit organization? What do you think? Because from the beginning, I know from my own understanding and from your introduction, you still may only 3 to 5 persons, but our board member, more than that.
Right.
What do you think? It could be your own personal suggestion or from your own view.
Yeah,
on our
and there was a
composition.
related question about term limits and also size of board. So good question. I do think, your board should not be too huge. I do think a core principle, and I'd have to look at more detail and make a specific recommendation, is the fact that as you are a federated model and you have member associations, that the general concept of having representation from all of your associations is probably the main principle, right? But should you have 30 board members? No, right? The presumption would be 1, maybe 2 max people, again, I'm just speaking outside, could probably represent the interests of a given association, and they would have the responsibility to do that. As to having term limits, for your circumstances, because if you don't have them now, I probably, right? And the governance committee and nominating committee, you keep this chart of all the board members and all their terms. Now, in a lot of organizations, so I use Empowerment Squared, we've actually had some board members that have been on the board for almost 20 years. But it sounds like, oh, that could be a problem, where's the turnover? It may or may not be a problem, because if everybody agrees that that board member is doing an exceptional job and they're adding so much value, we're not going to force them out. So what a good mechanism is to have term limits, say maybe 2 or 3 years or whatever it is, or maybe you're appointed while you're serving in a certain role with your local association, whatever it is, and then say, technically the term ends at that point, but there are options for renewal. And what that does, it allows the board to keep moving people off if they need to, but it also allows that if to keep somebody on, they can just reappoint them. Often they're eligible for reappointment up to 2 times. So that would mean in total they could serve 6 years in a row, and it might say after which point they must step off the board, but they are allowed to reapply a couple years later. So it just makes sure that there's nobody who sets up, as a lifer on the board, but if people want that person to lead, they can still do it. So overall, probably there would be some benefit of looking at your existing terms and updating them a little bit, is what I'm hearing.
Yeah, as chairman of the board of directors of LAC, if I can just throw just 1 minute through a little perspectives on how our structure works. See, the local administrations, say the regional vice presidents are the ones who appoint their representatives to the overall national board, 2 members. So how long that person stays on the board is dependent on the local administration. So there's a term limit. The work that their board member is doing is up to them to let that person be on the board for as long as the person wishes or the community wishes. But on the leadership structure of the board, that is the executive branch of the board, we have term limits, 3 years. Now, if you are performing well, it's up to your members, the directors who are there with you, to reappoint you or to re-elect you during the board election. So we fixed it in a way, the structure is set up in a way that the administration, national administration, that is the president, the vice president, secretary, general, they can stay in office for 2 years, right? And re-election comes up. But as for the board executive, they are 3 years, so that there is a gap during election. Like we're holding election here now, this year, for the administration. The board cannot hold election two at the same time, because what if there is an issue that arises during election?
Stagger.
Who's gonna handle it? So that's how the structure is. Board members are not in office for lifetime, but it is dependent on the local administration. Thank you.
Okay. So intuitively, after hearing that, I didn't quite know that that was your method. It sounds like it makes sense, and I would say if it's working and if members feel represented, then the model sounds reasonable, right? So there's a lot of subjectivity. There's a lot of ways you can decide what model works well for you. And if the model is working, and again, there's a sound logic to it, as was just explained by the chairman, then I'm not necessarily saying there should be any changes, right? To me, it sounds like there was a lot of intuition behind the way and intention behind the way it's set up. Okay, so we'll take one last question, and then I'm gonna make sure we get through some more content. Just a quick time check, everybody. We'll probably go with the session till about 12:30. I know we've been sitting for a while, and we're gonna want some lunch, so Leo. Okay. Okay. Okay, so let's do that. So here's what we'll do. I'll get through some content for 20 minutes. We'll wrap that part up today.
Maybe I can just do the last
question.
one, and we can move on. I'm hoping that maybe how things were structured, hopefully we can do certain things, maybe. But I wanted to talk about the board just briefly, right? So the board chair said that 3 years term limit for executives. There are people who are on the board, I believe, apart from those coming from cities. There are board members, even like the president, the emeritus that gets to the board. Are they going to be there for life? Will there be changes at some point, right? At what point do they say maybe, okay, we need fresh people, fresh minds? I think those are things that should be discussed down the road or in constitutional amendment, area, so that it doesn't seem that these people are going to be there for life, right? So I think that's what I wanted to add to what he said.
Sure, and I'll introduce a little bit of a mechanism here that I don't think you currently have within LAC, but a lot of organizations do, and they find it quite useful. So the board of directors are by definition the decision-making body. They have fiduciary duty, which we haven't got to yet, which is important, so I'm going to get to that in a minute. And they are the ones who are expected. Everybody who is appointed and says, yes, I will be a director, the expectation should be that they are active and contributing and participatory, right? We all have to hold each other to account for that. However, it is quite common for organizations where they have people who they say, this person does not have the capacity to be a board member, or they've served for a long time and we want to, continue to refresh our leadership, but we still want these people very involved or close to the organization. And you see this, I have it called advisors here, but there can be something called like an advisory council or an honorary member. I've done this with organizations where they have a place for the elders and say, we don't expect you to do all the governance work, but you are important to our governance, and we want to put you here as elders. The key thing is the board in the middle, and explicitly those people who are defined as directors retain the decision-making authority and the responsibility, but there's other bodies, and an advisory council is kind of like a committee. It's something you can create, and so long as the board wants to keep it there, it stays there, and it keeps those people in the family, but then they're not actual directors. So that's a mechanism you could think about, right, is also having some, and that, again, overall, I think one thing we want to do, and you have young people that are coming up underneath you, is find more and more ways to enroll people in leadership opportunities, right? So some of these mechanisms can be thoughtful to include that. So a good question. To Leo's suggestion, we won't take any more questions till 12:30. There is a couple topics I want to make sure we hit on. We did talk about the concept of committees. Again, the key concept here is committees have a job, there's work to do, they're formed with a mandate, so they should have a mandate, and they report back to the board on the progress of their mandate. So that is something you probably want to have. I'm going to skip a few things because there's a couple key topics I want to hit in the next 15 minutes. I want to talk a little bit. We talked about structural as a group, constitution, but what about you as an individual? What are your literal individual responsibilities in terms of what you must do and what you should do? So if you are a literal director, and keep in mind, maybe if we put people on advisory council, they're not a literal director at that point in time. It's the people who are actual directors. You actually have what we call a fiduciary duty. So it is actually a quite serious duty. And I'm going to bring up a couple cases after, including one here in London, which highlight the gravity and the significance of having a fiduciary duty. But it means that I agree that in taking on this job, I am going to represent the interested parties. So whether the interested parties are people attending a convention, your local community, your funders, there's all kinds of people who have an interest if LAC is successful, if the Liberian Association in Hamilton Niagara is successful, and you, by being a board director, are saying, I'm going to look out for them. I zoom by it, but there are all kinds of interested parties or stakeholders that have an interest in what happens with the organization. By being a director, you are taking them under your care. And I'm going to jump forward and back because there's a couple concepts I want to build out. So this fiduciary duty, it's both legal and ethical. So let's say something happens under LAC's watch. By being a director, you have potential liability. You have the literal legal responsibility that when something happens, they may come and say, who is overseeing this organization? How could this have happened? How did this become the case? And obviously you have an ethical obligation. You said, I'm going to stage a conference. Well, those of you who chose to, and the LAC board endorsed this conference happening, are really saying, we're going to stage a safe conference for everybody that people can feel comfortable attending to. So it's both legal and it's also ethical, and it's called fiduciary duties. And it is defined in law, but it's also just a general principle. Now let's look at a very local example. We're here in London, and I think it was about a year ago that in the news it came out that the London Health Sciences Corporation, so the big healthcare system in London, was being put under supervisorship of the province. Now remember we said everything in Canada goes up to the federal government or provincial. Our healthcare system, it goes up to the provincial government. They run our healthcare system. And they came in and said, and I'm not privy to any insider details, so I'm just talking generally what's available publicly. They said, London Health Sciences Corporation, your board of directors and your senior leadership has failed to oversee this organization, and we are taking it out of your hands. They kicked off all the directors, they fired the senior leadership, and the province, I think now, is still running London Health Sciences Corporation at the top level, right? This is a major breach of fiduciary duties. And a year ago, we weren't quite clear exactly what was happening. We knew it was something financial. A couple days ago, it came out that a couple in the organization were committing very substantial fraud. So a couple people paired up, and they were writing contracts to their friends for work that wasn't really being done or whatever was happening. So the CEO, even though the CEO was not part of it directly, right? They were not the ones who were committing the fraud. They're the boss, and those staff report up to them. And under their watch, these breaches of fiduciary duty happened. So all kinds of people were fired, and guess what? These people were not only fired, they were being sued by the government because they said, you had a task to do, you were responsible for this. We collectively lost a whole bunch of money because of your failure to do your senior job. And so this case is unfolding right now in the news. Again, I'm just making comments in general based off this. Now imagine somebody asks you to be on the board of directors of the hospital. You say, wow, very prestigious. The board members are very senior. You literally legally had a responsibility to satisfy yourself that you knew what was going on and that you were able to oversee it. And there's a reasonableness test. So if anything ever goes to court, they will say, listen, we know as a director you can't see everything. But did you do the work to satisfy yourself that what was happening under your watch was appropriate, it was safe, it followed the law, etc., right? So just because something happens bad in an organization doesn't mean you'll be held liable. But if you were shown to have not done your job, you just said, I'm a director, you show up to the board meetings, you didn't investigate, and you can't show that you did your job, you could be legally liable. And so we're seeing this saga play out right now. Another case
which you probably have seen in the news, is about Hockey Canada. There was just the announcement a couple days ago about the court's decision around this. And that's not the part of this I'm going to talk about, because this is obviously a very complex and problematic issue. But as it turned out, Hockey Canada, the organization, had a fund on their balance sheet. And it was a multi-million-dollar fund. Like, it had, I don't know, like $10 million in it. And it had some name that was kind of vague. And as it turned out, that fund of, like, not just $100, $200, because, you know, small money, right? Doesn't matter. It was a big fund, and it turned out that fund was being used to settle sexual assault cases out of court. So imagine you're on the board of directors, and every year you're approving the financial statements, and there's this $10 million line item that you're saying, yeah, it's all good. Obviously, the directors of Hockey Canada did not know, I'm going to presume, because if they did know, then that's even worse. I'm going to presume they did not know that that $10 million line item was being used to settle sexual assault cases out of court, because that would be a very big problem that needs to be addressed. And as it turned out, it turns out that what happened was one of many cases related to sexual assault that was happening within the Hockey Canada world, so to speak, the one that's playing out in the courts, right? Again, I'm not here to debate a specific case. I'm just pointing out that all the directors had to resign. It was scandalous. The federal government intervened. They appointed their own board of directors because it went all the way up, Hockey Canada. It went up to the federal governor who said, we need to right this ship. And I know some people within the director community in Canada of senior directors who are called to go in there and fix the governance of Hockey Canada. Again, I'm just putting this out there to help you appreciate the gravity of your role. If you are overseeing LAC or your local association and you're helping youth, which is very noble and honorable, you need to be aware that you need to know what is going on, whether it's legal or just ethical. The youth under the care of the organization that you are supervising, you need to feel confident that nothing like this could ever happen because you are running the organization well. So not to scare you, or maybe just a little bit, but to say, when you sign your name or when you agree to be the director, you are the ultimate responsible party for these type of circumstances. So these are obviously major breaches of fiduciary duty. Goes without saying, you need to do your job to assure that this does not happen under your watch. And I'm not implying any way that it is, but I can tell you that the boards of the hospital system and of Hockey Canada obviously thought everything was okay. Otherwise they would have done something about it or left the board or something. So fiduciary duties, really quickly what they are, you have a duty to act honestly and good faith with a view to the best interest of the corporation. So what does this mean? If you're on the board of directors of LAC or your local association, you are there for the mission and vision of LAC or your local association. When you advance an agenda, when you recommend something should happen, you must do it with the best interests of the organization and those who benefit. Nonprofit corporations are not for your benefit. They're for your benefit to be able to lead and the privilege to serve. We heard servant leadership. You're allowed to have very positive outcomes from being on the board of directors of nonprofit corporations, but they're not for you to enrich yourself legally. You want to enrich yourself, start a business and figure out a way to do a good job, but none of these organizations are there for you for that. Duty to exercise the care, diligence, and skill that a reasonably prudent person would exercise in comparable circumstances. So when the Hockey Canada case comes up, they did look at the individual directors and say, this happened under your watch. Did you try really hard to make sure you knew what was going on in general at Hockey Canada? Or do you just show up at board meetings and, argue about the Constitution? Not to say that's not important as well, but you can't all focus your energy only on those things. You have to know what's going on. You are an overseer, you're the director, right? So you need to demonstrate that you did your job. And the third one is duty of loyalty to avoid conflicts of interest. And this is where when Leo brought up the question earlier about can a board member also serve the executive and et cetera, conflicts of interest can be very problematic. You need to make sure whether in reality or perception, you are demonstrating that you have no conflicts, right? So again, if you were a board member and then you want to be paid, and if a board member you have influence on dictating what happens, how can you dictate that the non-profit corporation should pay you as a staff member? So right off the bat, there's an inherent conflict of interest. There could be all kinds of conflicts. We're not going to go into that. I just want you to have the appreciation that You have this ethical duty you've taken on. You have this incredible opportunity to lead on behalf of Liberians and other interested parties, but you also have a legal responsibility that is on your hands. And we don't always appreciate that as directors, because often we're just like, oh, this sounds like, a meaningful task, I'll take it on, or, I'd like to lead, or, I want to work with my peers. No, directorship is actually a legal duty in Canada, so you do have to keep that in mind. And it's not just your bylaws and the Canada Nonprofit Corporations Act. Depending on the type of organization that you are running, there can be all kinds of legal duties that you need to follow. Labor laws, if you bring on your first employee, you as the board have one employee, let's say an operations manager for your local association, you are now an employer. You must follow all the rules of the Employment Act. If you fail to follow all the rules of the Employment Act, you could be in trouble. One thing people don't know is if there are arrears that are owed to the government because you have an employee and you did not submit the corporation's portion of EI and CPP, the remittances that are meant to go to the government, you as a director can be held individually financially liable for certain things. You need to know that. These are serious responsibilities. We're not going to go into all the details now, but we can look at this and say which of the rules that exist out there or regulations are applicable to our association. And I think one of them that you probably want to keep in mind the most is the fact that you do work by definition with vulnerable populations, which is youth. So that's probably the biggest one, obviously keeping your finances in order, but also making sure that you're providing a safe environment for participants, and especially youth. Once you introduce young people, you have a heightened duty of care, right? You are now responsible for things that happen for them under your watch. I'll pause there for a second. Clear enough the general concept. Again, we feel free to follow up in terms of any specifics. So just to close off this section about mitigating director liability, but really this is just saying how do you do your job as a board member? That's another way to frame it. Again, I'll send you these slides. This is a very handy list. If board decisions are happening and you are not there, your name is still assigned to them because the board decided. So attend meetings, review the minutes and engage. Like, you need to satisfy yourself that what's happening is proper. Reviewing materials in advance. First of all, if you're having board meetings and the responsible party is not sending around the board materials in advance, that's something you should hold them to account. So if you have a manager or a president or something and there's going to be a board meeting, the secretary, the chair, the president should be sending any materials to read in advance so that you can be prepared. So that is something, a mutual accountability you hold. And just because the management recommends something, again, you don't want to get in their way all the time, but you also want to make sure that you thought about what they're recommending and you approved it as well, right? Legal and financial advisors, the reality is, some of you are asking me questions today, there's things that are just over our head. I call my accountant all the time because tax law is so complicated. I just don't know. So me, as somebody who's not a tax expert, making tax decisions does not make the most sense. So if you're facing a complicated issue that could be legal in nature or it's over your head, it's just responsible to bring in professionals and experts, right? Rather than stand there and argue and insist that you know what better when you are not a professional, and especially when it comes to law and finance. So these are just some of the things that you should do to make sure you're doing a good job. So Leo, do we want to wrap here or do one more section? We're about like 5 to... Do we want to keep going a little bit more? Do we want to open the floor or do we want to do one more section? So you love governance this much. You want more governance. You must govern better. Wow, okay. It's tough. If I was doing a comedy show, it's easier to keep an audience engaged, but we were trying to talk to people about governance. It's a little tougher. It's a little more dull. So, okay, we'll do one more section, and then we'll move to wrap. I've got 2 parts. I've got board performance, and I've got strategy. Which one do we want to do? Oh, one strategy? Consensus on strategy? Okay. Oh, wow, even more governance. Okay, we'll do the strategy, and then we'll see where we're at and decide if we want to do that. So I'm just going to jump forward here. Again, I will give you the slides so you'll have them for reference. Okay, so at the end of the day, governance is a means to an end. Having good governance is a system we can use to produce positive outcomes, right? So it's not just that governance is there for governance sake. It's like, why are we here together? Right, and many of you, that's why I asked you at the beginning, what's your motivation? What are we trying to do? And you were aligned, generally speaking, with what you were trying to do, right? Your general objectives of of LAC. But at the same time, there's more specific objectives. If you're a company, you might say, okay, we want to make money and sell things. Okay, but do you want to sell 10 things next year or 100 things? Because I'd come up with a totally different plan to sell 10 things versus 100 things. So you know generally what LAC is here for, and in fact, it is actually written in your nonprofit corporation what you exist for, but more specifically, what do we want to do over the next time frame? So I actually mentioned to you that we will go through an exercise to work on LAC's strategy over the next years, so you can look forward to that. But what am I even talking about when I say strategy, right? I like to break it down into 3 columns: hindsight, oversight, and foresight. Hindsight is what happened, so you need to oversee and review that. Oversight is what's happening right now, and foresight is looking to the future. So hindsight might be, for example, at your board meetings or annual general meetings, and I don't know how formal you are with this, but if you're not moving into the near future, you should be. Your finance committee should have reviewed the financial reports from the past year, probably had an accountant either help you compile them or audit them or put their review on it, bring it to the board, and then you look at it and you say, I agree and I accept the presentation of these financial statements. Because if there's some funny business going on, they're going to be like, didn't the board approve this? So you do have a responsibility for ensuring that the things that allegedly had happened in the past did in fact happen. So just put a pin in that, because I think we are going to do a financial module for you probably online to talk about how to do that. But that is something you should do, making sure what happened happened. Then there's oversight. The organization is running on an ongoing basis. So when you are having your board meetings every few months, or whenever you're meeting as an organization, you should be expecting to get reports from the executive in terms of the work that they're doing. You elected the executive, so you want to make sure that you're satisfied. Not as much in LAC because everybody's volunteering, but let's say you start hiring people, there's now performance management. I'm actually paying 3 people $50,000 each a year to do work on behalf of LAC. Well, I need to make sure that as employees, they're doing their job. So a board is on an ongoing basis overseeing what's going on. You're not meddling. They used to tell us I've done a lot of governance training, they use the term nose in, fingers out. So like you're sniffing around, you're looking at what's happening, but you're not meddling, because that compromises the governance model that you have. Why would you hire people to do a job and then not let them do their job? So again, as LAC grows, that's something to keep in mind. Now you're small, so it's kind of collapsed, but you're overseeing. And then there's foresight. And this is actually where most boards fall short. You show up at your board meeting, you've not been that involved, you get a report from the president or the executive director, and you express your opinion on it. Well, that's all fine, but what future are we planning for? Like, what are we intending to do, right? So foresight arguably is the most important function. It's deciding the future of the organization. So strategy, vision, risk mitigation, all these types of things. So this is the job of a director of the past, present, and future, but literally what is strategy? So I'm going to get into that a little bit. I teach a whole set of university courses on strategy, so I'm doing it in like 10 minutes, so you're going to get the really condensed version, but I'm happy to chat about it with you in the future. So the direction and scope of an organization. So direction and scope would be, we know what LAC is generally up to, but how big do we want LAC be? Do we want LAC to also involve or include participants from Liberia? Do we want to create chapters in 20 cities in Canada? Scope is a question organizations often forget to ask. How much do we want to do? How much money do we want to raise? How many staff do we want to have, right? Not just that we want to do things to the community. How many things do we want to do for the community? How many people do we want LAC to have helped, right? So we're going to sit there and come to a consensus on where we're going, how much we're going to do. Strategy is over the long term, so it's not what we're doing tomorrow. In our case, the exercise we're probably going to do together, it's probably going to be about 3 years, if I had to guess. Right? We're going to say over the next 3 years, here's the major things you want to accomplish. That's usually a good time frame to look out because, again, strategy is sometimes things take 3 years. So year 1 will do this, year 2 will do this, by year 3 we'll have achieved this new state of our organization. Successfully achieves an organization's meaningful mission. Success is a key part of strategy. Strategy is not just a plan. It's not just what you're doing. It's also deciding this is what we define as success. So when you talk about goals or metrics, or in business you use the term like KPIs, key performance indicators, there should be an articulation of what winning is. So again, you know your mission and vision for LAC right now, but from a strategy perspective, I don't think, for example, you've defined specific goals for yourself in terms of what you would consider success. So that's something we'll probably roll in. Through its configuration of resources within a challenging environment, by definition, there's always a lack of resources. You talk to any company, any government, anyone, oh, if only we had more time and money. But we don't, right? We can work on getting more money and more resources, but we have some box of that right now. So y'all can sit at your board table and say, we should do all these things, and then say, okay, executive, go do it. And they'll look at you like, we're part-time volunteers. It's not reasonable. Or we want to do all these things, but you don't have the money for it. So there's always resource constraints. And I know there's a lot that's baked in here, and it's on purpose, and I'll explain why. Within a challenging environment, there is no circumstance that is not challenging. I work with a lot of nonprofit associations in Canada, and they all say society is getting more challenging, right, especially those in social services. The needs that are being placed on our organizations are even more difficult, yet the governments are in big deficits, and there's no more money to support what we're doing. That's always the case. So when you're trying to lead and do leadership work, it's never easy. There's always challenging environments. And then lastly, to fulfill stakeholder needs and expectations. You actually have a bit of a challenge with that in LAC because by definition, you have different people, different communities, different parts of Canada, and it's not just LAC members, it's beneficiaries of your programs, it's funders. So all these people, we're trying to satisfy them all at once. And we know in life that's very difficult. So strategy is somehow saying, considering all these factors exist, they all are in place, right? Whether we're thinking about them or not, we have stakeholders, there's the challenging environment, we only have limited resources. What are we gonna do? That's strategy. It's thinking of all the complexity of factors and then deciding this is what we're going to do. So I'm gonna zoom through a little bit on how we do that. This is a question I often ask. I don't think at the moment most of your associations would have a strategic plan, but what I encourage you to do is keep involved, participate in the strategic plan formulation that LAC's gonna do, and then you will have a template you can take back to your local associations and go through a similar process. So this is very detailed, and the way I'm gonna sum up this section is I'm gonna actually show you a strategic plan we did with one of our clients recently. Again, you'll have these slides, but I'll just point out the big pillars of it. You see in phase one, the first phase, and I know the text is small, project planning and discovery. So developing a strategy is actually a project. We're gonna go through a streamlined version of it with LAC where we determine what's the process we're gonna go through to develop a plan, who's gonna participate, what type of questions do we wanna ask, what information do we need, like our existing financials, any discussions that have been had, whatever. So we plan the project, we collect the existing information. Phase two is engagement. So if your local association has community members, youth, funders, and different people that have an opinion or care about what happens with your association, maybe we want to engage them. So probably with LAC, for example, we will do some online focus groups, and we'll invite you into these conversations. So we'll collect the insights from all of you on what you think LAC should do going into the future. Phase three, we have to build a strategy. So we will go through an exercise where we take all these perspectives and say, we heard everybody, here's our recommendation. We'll probably have a strategy committee, so a small group of people that are working on this. We heard you all, and we pulled it all together, and this is what we recommend you should do. We will take that strategy, the concept we put together, we'll send it back to the board. The board will have an opportunity to review it, and we'll finalize it, and LAC will have a strategy, right? Now, what's the point of having this strategy? Now, instead of just generally being involved with LAC and knowing why we're all here, there will be a set of objectives and a plan that we can all work towards together and celebrate in 1 year and 3 years that we achieved big goals. So that's the intention of having a strategy. So again, overall, I encourage you to keep an eye out, be part of this process. So what does it literally look like? I'll just give you an example of one of our clients where we did a strategic planning process recently. So really, I'm just showing you the end result. This is the plan that we developed. So this is the Hamilton Philharmonic Orchestra. If you've ever been to the orchestra, it's a really good orchestra, but you've got all these musicians that play, you've got the staff, you've got the patrons that come to the shows, you got the donors that give money, you got governments that fund it, like all these people and all these factors, and the fact, actually, hands up, has anyone ever gone to the Philharmonic Orchestra? 0. So, Leo's pretending he's gone. So you have the fact that they're committed to this type of music, and yet your average person, most people, are not looking to go hear, you know, the violin and all this type of, you know, and all this type of stuff. So they want to attract audiences because they believe in their art form. So those are just some of the strategic factors. Like, okay, all those factors are out there. What are we going to do? So we go through this planning process like I just described, and this is the plan that's been developed for them, right? Too small to read, but there's a thesis about the plan where it talks about who participated. It talks about where we're going, where we're at in our future. They're actually 140 years old. So in Hamilton, this music group is 140 years old. They've been around a long time. We're a traditional art form, you know, it's kind of an old art form. But we want to look to the future and engage new audiences. So what are we going to do? So we came up with a thesis. For LAC, this might be like a thesis. Over the next 3 years, we want LAC to go from what it is today to this exciting, new, bold version of ourselves. This is who will participate. This is how we're going to get there. There's a thesis towards the vibrancy of LAC and what we're going to do. Maybe instead of renting out other halls, LAC wants to have its own national community center where the conventions are held there, and it's a physical manifestation of the home of the Liberian Association in Canada. I mean, that was part of the vision of why we built the Liberian Learning Center. We were running programs there already, but we're like, there needs to be somewhere where all the energy and the intentionality can be centered. So that was always one of the reasons. I'm not saying you have to. That might be a great aspiration. Amen. Adam says we're doing it. And his dealership will be a sponsor. So again, this is setting vision, getting people excited, and then developing a plan to get there. It won't just happen. It's a big thing, right? It takes a strategy. So blah, 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 their strategy. We developed a committee. This is something we'll probably do. Who are going to be the committee of the board that participates in creating the strategy, that recommends the strategy back to the board. So I'll talk with the leadership after, but maybe that is something we'll open up for some people to participate in the strategic planning committee. Content. So what's the context for them? This is something we might work on as well, is not only being strategic as doing a plan at one point in time, you have to keep revisiting it, tracking your progress, looking at the next steps. So we outlined a whole schedule over the next 3 years for how the Philharmonic Orchestra's board and senior staff are going to track the strategy and when they're going to develop budgets and all these type of things that are good organizational infrastructure. You should have a budget, you should have a plan, you should have a review cycle, all this stuff. So they've already put that in stone, so they know that they are not just coming up with a lot of talk and making a strategy today, but they're going to keep reviewing it. This is too small to see, but this is the engagement with stakeholders. So it just outlines, these are all the groups we talk to and all the people. So we made sure that this plan was inclusive. I heard that word earlier. We want to make sure the plan we come up with has everybody's vision. Because if I come up with a plan, which I could actually give you a really good plan in a week and say, LAC, do this. Most of you won't look at it. You will feel like it's not your plan. You didn't participate. You're not even sure whether I'm Liberian or not. So why do we want to take this guy's plan? So, of course, engaging people in the process is going to be very valuable, right? Discovery. So not only that, what research do we want to do? So you want to be a very successful cultural association in Canada. Well, should we not go research the cultural associations who have come before and been very successful? How did they get there? We need inputs and research. So we may go figure out who are our role models, who do we want to look towards? So what is their actual plan? There's a perspective from their music director, their CEO, their board chair, just to give a little bit of context. But they've articulated a very specific mission, vision, and values, right? So they have a mission. Why are we here? What do we want to do, right? They want to connect their community through inspiring orchestral music. It's a noble mission. And what's their vision? Sparking curiosity and joy. So if the community is like, goes to one of their shows and tells people about it and grows, they'll move towards their mission. We'll touch about values in a second. The other key part I'll talk about really quickly is the pillars. What are the major things we want to accomplish? They want to connect their community. Well, there's a bunch of actions they have. I'll show you on the next slide about how they'll connect community. The last one, achieve financial stability and growth. You should set some financial goals for LAC, right? At what level of revenues do you want to achieve to fund the activities that you want? So you got pillars, you got who we serve, all these type of elements in the strategy. So again, I'm just flying by, but these are types of things. Even values. Values sound like they're a simple thing and they're nice, you put it up on the wall, these are values. You can test whether the organization is acting according to its values. If you say one of our values is collaboration and you want to hold each other to account, if people are not being collaborative, that is something you can call out and say, listen, we all agree this is one of our fundamental principles, but you are off on your own trying to push this agenda. We need to go back to our values. We agreed to them and we'll work on them. And then there's strategic pillars. This is the real detail, where the top row is the pillars I showed you before, but the key initiatives are all the specific activities they will do over the next 3 years. So again, I know there's a lot baked in there. I just want to make the point, one of the things I think LAC is ready in terms of maturity to do now is to work together. Remember, we talked about good governance, a shared vision, to use a strategic plan to say this is where we're going and where we're going to work together. So I covered a lot of ground. That was a lot of lecturing, more than I usually like to do. So I'll pause there. Happy to break now if we want, or happy to also take any questions.
Quick question. Can a nonprofit organization in Ontario, or Canada for that matter, function as a nonprofit without a board of directors?
No, it literally cannot. It must have a minimum of 3 directors on a board. That is in law. So it will not be allowed to operate and conduct affairs or conduct business without a board, by definition. So we can do questions, comments, or get ready for lunch. I'll open the floor. Yep.
One line of comment. From your, expose this morning, it has given me a very good perspective on how non-profit organization administration is akin to national government administration in miniature. The only difference that we have as a non-profit organization, we don't have police officers to enforce our law. Thank you.
Listen, there's a reason why I'm being so insistent that you must all do this governance training and learn all these things. Because when you've learned it all, and when you've advanced LAC, then we're going to send you back to Liberia and straighten everything out. So, some more questions.
Okay, thank you. Really function in the absence of a strategy plan.
Well, by definition, yes, because you have been functioning. I would argue that you will function in a more intermittent, kind of random way, right? Like right now, if we worked on a plan together and we all agreed to it and we were excited about it, and I put the plan up, then we can all figure out what are we going to do to achieve the plan.
Here, and then we'll go to over there.
Okay.
My question is, when you establish your organization and you have your 3 board of directors and you get a grant, when you go to execute that grant, say you have to hire a project manager, can you, the board of director, execute that or be one of the facilitators to execute that grant?
Yeah, that's an excellent question. And the number 3, I use it on purpose. 3 is the minimum, obviously. You can have more. There's actually no maximum legally, but there's a maximum operationally. You don't want too many board members because it's not functional. So the short answer to your question for most purposes in general in Canada is no. So hypothetically, if you were a board member and the organization was to receive a grant fund and you would want to potentially be the person delivering the program that was funded by that grant, you would have to step off the board. There would have to be the current board members who are still there would have to make the decision to hire you for that purpose. You definitely cannot stay off the board, and legally, but then also principally, when you do that, you're going to have a lot of eyeballs on you. The funder is going to be watching and being like, I gave them this money, and now this person is going and taking the money. So even and it does happen, because I've had scenarios where a board is hiring a CEO or executive director, and the board member says, I want to contest. They have to step off the board and then go through all the process just like everybody else, apply and compete, and maybe they will get the job. Why you want to be careful is the government is very scrutinizing of things like that. And even your colleagues will be like, this person is directing money towards himself. So there's what you must do, and then there's also the perception. So just, my advice is be careful about that.
Sorry, I moved over here for the next question. I'm asking this specifically because of the lack of, because we are a small organization a lot of the time, and so you have these little organizations, and you
Sure.
got the funding, and now you want to hire people, and
Yeah.
you know.
So the major conflict will be whether or not you are getting paid. So can you hire a
Yes.
consultant? No problem.
You get a consultant.
Can you work with the consultant? Can you direct them? Can you advise them? Yes, but as a board member, meaning you and the consultant are working on the advancing the organization, but the consultant is not a board member. They do not direct the organization. They're acting at the direction of the board. So the difference is they can get paid, but you can't get paid.
You can pay the reasonable cost of a board member. So let's say if a board member was asked to conduct a training for the organization voluntarily, and they were renting a hall, or they were paying for the speakers, or they were providing food. Reasonably, the organization can cover those costs because the person is not the one benefiting. So just to be clear, the conducting the affairs of the organization, whatever can be covered by the organization, but not a pay to the particular individual.
Yeah, so if you're a board member and you incur expenses as a result of doing your job as a board member, so not like compensation, but expenses, then most board policies will say you can be reimbursed for your expenses. That's considered reasonable.
Okay, we have another question over here.
It's not a question. I just wanted to comment on a strategic plan and the existence of an organization. So I feel like an organization that does not have a strategic plan is almost like a falling feather. You can fall anywhere. Because a strategic plan, I mean, these are decisions you make for future implementation. So if not had a strategic plan, I don't even know where you're going. Yeah, you. So I don't know where you're going. So I think to add up to the answers, a strategic plan is needed. Whether written in black and white or not, you need it.
Yeah, well said. And I would actually say there was a term that came up earlier, explicit versus implicit. If you do a strategic plan, it's pretty much explicit. And to your point, whether or not it's written in black and white, I would say, I mean, if you have a plan, it's going to be written, right, in black or white. You're still going to do things, but that would be considered implicit, and it's a lot more specific and more ambiguous. So, you know, doing the plan makes it explicit.
So we're trying to take two more. Mark is going to be here with us for the sake of the other thing, we can take maybe two more while we kind of wrap up.
Yeah.
Other questions can go on for the rest of the afternoon. We'll take a recess for two more.
Okay.
Yeah, Mike, concerning the grant, let's say if a board member apply for the grant, receives the grant, and a board member says that I received the grant, I apply for it, I use it the way I want to use it. Is that good governance?
Well, not only is it good governance, it's actually not possible. Because, well, I'll explain. Even if a board member writes the grant and they submit it, they are, even if they did the work of that, putting it together, they are not applying for the grant, the organization is applying for the grant. And if the grant is received, then the organization receives the grant. So by definition, no. And that is why there always must, the law says there must be at least 3 board members so that no person can independently try and direct the affairs of a nonprofit corporation. Again, unlike a business you can have one director, you own the business, you do whatever you want, but not a nonprofit corporation.
Yes, I just want to make a follow-up question to what he just asked. So we have the board of directors and we have the executive. So who is responsible for applying of grant?
Well, so in terms of the hierarchy, the board of directors is senior to the executive. The executive is hired by the board of directors, even if they're volunteering. With that being said, the board of directors may have hired or directed the executive to apply to the grant and do the work, right? So you could ask that question about anything, whether it's a grant or not. I mean, you're really just saying who's doing the work of filling out a grant application. It could be an executive, it could be the board directors. Either, I mean, ideally everybody's very collaborative, right? So I think that question is more just about what's the expectation of responsibilities between a board and their executive. It's not really specific to a grant at all. So we'll take one last question if we have one.
Does anyone else have a question? We're taking one more.
Okay. Really just quick as a closing statement, I appreciate all the questions. I appreciate the fact that a lot of this, both legally and like generally, is quite complex. And then you have a group of people who are all trying to figure it out together. So this, you know, knocking around a little bit, it's very normal. At the base of it all, I mean, the fact that you've gotten this far, that you are working together, that you have made all of this progress, that you are actually somewhat unique in Canada for having this federated model. You are well on your way. Again, I appreciate the opportunity to be invited in as a friend and advisor to LAC and to Liberians in general. So keep up the good work. I'll be around for any one-on-one conversations, and thank you.
Before you go, I will, in this public manner, like to invite our board chair and Mr. President to please properly thank our facilitator for this session. I'll start with you, Mr. President, and Mr. Board Chair will be the final.
First of all, I think before I even talk to him, he warrants some kind of huge applause. If we can give him an applause. Mr. Stewart, on behalf of LAC, we want to say thank you so much. We can't express how grateful we are for this service. But I also want to make this known to the body that this is a part of the leadership empowerment grant that we receive to be able to empower our leaders across the country. So we were able to reach out to the university, and at which time Mark is here today to give us this training. This is going to be ongoing based on the arrangements and agreement. So let's just know this. Mr. Stewart, want to say thank you. We really appreciate all of this.
Yes, Mark, I don't know how to thank you, because these are things that we do maybe on a daily, weekly basis, only that we do not have a structure. Hey, guy, this is how we should do it. This is how we should do it. But you open our eyes on many things today. And I hope from this point, many of us who have doubt on how nonprofit organizations should function or function in line with government policies, we should always take this slide and revisit it all of the time, because learning is dynamic. It's not something that is static. You learn something today, as time goes on, you learn again to improve on it. Some of these things that we learned way back in university, they have the improved version of what he's just explained today. So it's always good to keep learning. It's a wheel of progression. So Mark, thank you very much. Thank you. This process is akin, like I said earlier, to national government administration. If you see the government of Canada or the government of Liberia structure and the non-profit organization structure that we have here, they are all similar. Holding people accountable for misuse of funds or collecting funds that we do here, it's on the government level. And like I said, the humor added in it is that we don't have police officers or national army, to do the war or to go to war for us or to enforce the law here. So thank you again. All of the time, I think LAC is supposed to be calling on you to do this again. I think you did one by Zoom before, right? Yes, way back. Do it regularly to always keep our toes, our feet on the ground and say, yes, these guys, we know what we're doing. Then there will be no confusion from all these things that we do. We come to convention and we are shouting at one another all day. So congratulations. You're my Liberian brother. Oh. Yeah, we all inside. They think all are inside.
He said he doesn't know how to thank me. Just so you know, it's very easy to thank me. I like club beer, some pepper fish, and torbagi, and I'm good.
So, yeah, club beer, pepper fish, and toboggi. So, so thank you, everybody. Just so you know, the president mentioned yesterday, for the rest of the year, all the pieces you heard today were just the introduction. Mark is going to be doing series of sessions to unpack each section into depth, because each one of these modules can go for 4 hours, literally. And some other, not just Mark alone, he will be bringing a bunch of other facilitators who have expertise in particular areas. Like he said, he's not a finance person. You rather have someone with the expertise doing. So we'll have multiple facilitators that Mark will be assembling that will take on specific areas to unpack the details, so that what we got here was just the intro to these areas so that it can empower. So that was part of the capacity building grant that LAC got, which has enabled Mark and his company to be able to support us this way. So I hope everybody benefited something from it, and it was valuable for all of us. Mark, again, thank you so much. So we will switch gears quickly. This morning, as we passed a resolution last night, which was law, that we were supposed to be here this morning at 9 a.m., I was here 8:55. The hall was not open until about 10:05. The hall was locked. We were all here. We sat in the parking lot. And when the hall was open at 10:05, we came in. We took a roll call of the delegates that were supposed to be here. We did not constitute a quorum, which meant we had to forfeit the resolution that was made last night and not complete the convention agenda. The delegates that were here had to do that because we could not even discuss, because anything said is not valid if you don't have a quorum. So that being said, we have elections that were scheduled to start at 1 o'clock today. That was supposed to happen. Now that everybody managed to get here after saying 9 o'clock yesterday and go here 12 o'clock, we need to make a decision. Those who have the authority to are delegates to the convention that can make the decision what's the way forward. If you want to speak, put your hand up and we'll recognize you. Capita, Folde, and then Peterson.
Elections, please.
All right. And then we will make a decision by voting or whatever that is.
Fellow delegates, there is one unresolved issues that we need to critically look at before we go into the elections. There's an issue that is unresolved that we need to critically look at before we go into the elections. And if you will quite agree with me, it has to do with the Kitchener issue, the Kitchener-Waterloo organization. There is an...
Quick order is that we have an agenda that was approved by the plenary. The only question we are addressing is what resolution to complete that agenda. So I would say we are only asking to complete that agenda. Anything that was not approved on the agenda cannot be brought in because it's law.
I don't think this was approved, Mr. Johnson. It was not approved. This is a very critical matter that we need to carefully understand and look at it. It is not just a hurry issue, because if we don't set precedents tomorrow, it might affect other cities around. And that is the reason why, fellow delegates, I want you to give us the opportunity so that we can bring it out and discuss it.
So thank you, Mr. Fode, taking on an advisement, but I still have to make a decision about the agenda, and then the convention again can decide. But for now, the question is for us to proceed. What do we do?
I suggest we proceed to the election, and when the election commission is checking the ballots, then we can go to the discussion.
Thank you. We'll take Mr. Dauber. Mr. Dauber.
Yeah, thank you. Quick question to the administration. What time do we have to stay here today before?
We were told yesterday. Hello, everybody. Again, when we come, that's why yesterday I keep telling people, let's listen when these motions are being passed. Mansiaka Sharif from the program planning team informed us yesterday that we had up to 2 o'clock to be in this hall. However, she said if everybody is willing to stay back and support the team for setting up, the latest we got is 3 p.m. On the floor, on the microphone, she stated that we all said yes, we agree. Unless we want to cancel the ball tonight, also that's another option on the table as well. My hands was up here.
Hello, everybody. Fellow Liberians, we meet once in a year. Our goal is to have an organization that every Liberian who is a member will feel a part of it. Elections are very important, but people who will be leaders tomorrow will be leaders for people and for communities. If their communities are not with them, there'll be a problem. I would strongly suggest that we complete the agenda for this convention before we go to election. Thank you.
Okay, so again, I will go back to the resolution. So on the agenda yesterday, there were 2 key items that were not completed. 1, constitutional amendments that were sent forth to the convention. 2, an agenda item that was introduced on the agenda by Mr. James Wright, which was also approved. And then 3, the selection of the next convention host for next year. I will repeat, whatever we decide, we got to make it now, but we have to be out of this hall by 3 p.m. if we are having a ball. The planning team has informed us if we are not out by 3 p.m., then we have to cancel the ball. That's another option that's on the table as well. So at this point, are delegates willing to move to the stage of a motion to put this to a test, into a vote, as to whether we go ahead, and if we go beyond 3, because there's no way we'll be finished by 3, with the elections also. And the election is a constitutional mandate as well that we will have to do. So we can go ahead and cancel the ball tonight and finish the convention agenda as well. Can we move this to a vote? I will not take too many comments on this because it's not a dialogue. As you all know, a motion was passed yesterday. The motion was forfeited. So we have to make a decision and not a discussion. It's a decision. Delegates, can we move this issue to a motion and to a vote? Are you putting your hand up to move to a motion and a vote? We can't add to the agenda. No, you can't add to the agenda. Listen up. This agenda was yesterday put forth for everybody to add what they wanted to add. When it was added, it was voted and approved. You cannot add to the agenda right now. So, in that case, can I just finish? In that case, is there an objection against moving this to test? Anybody objects us moving towards making a decision? Okay, please state your objection.
We are all from different communities. One problem in one community is a problem in another community. Yesterday, we suspended the issue of Kitchener. That is a very important issue. If we do not discuss that, if we do not see it necessary in this convention, we are talking about another 2 or 3 years to come back here.
Okay.
And if we don't solve that problem now, tomorrow another group will come out in London telling us they are breakaway or telling us they are bringing their own stuff.
Okay.
It might happen to every community. So if I can obtain a second, I move that whatever was suspended about Kitchener, bring back to be discussed, or Kitchener aspect. If I can obtain a second, whatever was done by Kitchener.
So I will call you to an order.
Whatever was done by Kitchener, I'm doing my motion. You gave me time
so thank
to do
you.
it.
I'm the moderator and facilitator.
Yes, but you got it. So I'm making a motion. This is a higher
So can you let me take it back
decision-making
now? Can I take my position back?
Can I finish?
Thank you.
Can I finish my motion? Can I finish my motion? Thank you. I move, if I can obtain a second, that what is happening in Kitchener right now be put on hold, be taken out of the entire convention until that problem can be solved in Kitchener before Kitchener take back in anything that has to do with the convention.
Thank you very much, madam. We were not asked for a motion, so you cannot do a motion. Yeah, let me just finish.
It was suspended, it can be brought
Can
back.
we not do a dialogue? Can you let me
This
talk
is
now?
what we're here for.
Thank you very much. And you done? Can I talk now? Thank you. Yesterday, those of you that were here, a motion was put on the floor, overwhelmingly voted for by all of the delegates in this room, that the matter for Kitchener will be. Please, Amina, when you were talking, I respected you. Can we maintain a quorum or the perfect decorum? Respect each other. Today, let's not talk across the floor to each other. From yesterday, I've done my best to recognize everybody when you put your hand up so you can get your word in. The convention did not ask for us to offer motions. Again, I'm going by the agenda you all approved. Last night, we took a resolution which was law that the 3 remaining items on the agenda will be brought today to be discussed and decided upon. If the convention is canceling the agenda to introduce a new agenda, then put that on the floor. But now that we have a law, we can leave it in place and put another law on top of it. The convention will have to undo this agenda and then introduce a brand new agenda, which means we open it up for everybody to add stuff to that agenda. It's just Robert's Rule and parliamentary procedures. So I'm going to ask again, and the board chair is here, Mr. President, you are here, all of you guys are here. My job I was given mandate to do yesterday was to come here today, open these 3 items on the agenda, and proceed with it. If the convention is taking away that mandate, then let's do it now, cancel it, and start from scratch. That's all I'm asking for. No, we can't go that to now. Kwewa, go ahead, please. There's a microphone right there. And just so you know, as we are talking, the clock is ticking as well.
After everybody, after one. Okay.
And please, everyone, can we stop? Those that are speaking, if we can try and be concise to make the point, that will also be helpful.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Kwewa.
So this matter that was suspended yesterday, and this body here is the highest decision-making body. If you guys would not take your responsibility to put it in your hand, you won't give it to the board, that's fine. But again, I will say, whatever suspension that was put on that identical matter, the candidates that are running for that community cannot take part in the election.
Thank you very much.
Suspension is labor.
So just so you know, please, everybody, again, we are deviating from, let me just say this. Let me say this to the convention. I made a commitment yesterday that the rules that you set, everybody, can I get your attention? Team LA, I beg you, let's try and get everybody's attention. We made a commitment yesterday that the rules that you all set, you put it on here, everybody voted for it unanimously. We did not complete our agenda. We passed a resolution at the end of the day that the only thing left, so just so you know, when plenary makes a decision in one convention, this is not 2 conventions that we are in, it is law. So the law we made yesterday was to come and complete the 3 in fact, I restated the 3 outstanding items. We all voted for it. We went home. We come back. If the convention is saying you want to redo another agenda, absolutely. We just went through what procedures and rules are set. The convention has the power to say, everybody, anything you got qualm with, put it back on an agenda and let's go ahead. But the question I'm asking you now to proceed, I have an agenda that says, I need to take a decision. Are we finishing the 3 items or are we canceling them and start from scratch? So before we go into what a Kitchener matter is on agenda or Kitchener matter, first of all, if we are proceeding or we are not proceeding, given the time constraints that we have. When we make that decision, then we will make the decision whether we finish our agenda. Stop jumping ahead. Let's make the fundamental thing we need to get corrected. So right now, can we move to the point of a motion as to whether we are continuing the convention which was not completed yesterday, or we are ending it to send it to another time? That's the question we need to answer now. Can we focus on that first? Is that okay? Is that okay with everybody? So, Excuse me, please. Excuse me. Again, is the convention prepared to cancel the plenary decision that was made yesterday? Because at this point, I'm under obligation to execute that decision that was made. I didn't make the decision. So can we vote to cancel the agenda from yesterday and cancel all the decisions that were made under it, and then we turn it over for a new procedure? Or else, if we don't do that, or else, we need to go ahead and make a decision now. Right now, we can't even discuss anything because this agenda is not even open. So can we make a motion, or can we move to that point? That's the question I'm asking. Can we take a vote to continue or not continue with the decision we made yesterday? So, thank you very much, everybody.
Excuse me.
The decision we made yesterday, let me ask everybody. We had agenda items, including reports. Reports were made, all the other agenda items were exhausted. The question about Kitchener came under the reporting or question period for the reports. It was exhausted and a decision was made. My people, I will wait. When we finish talking, then I will talk. I will wait. When we get a decorum, then we'll talk. All right, everybody, do we have a decorum to talk? So, everybody, everyone, hello, Kwewa, the table behind her, can we please just get the order back? I'm begging everybody, please. Amina, can we please get the order back here? Thank you very much. So, at this point in time, everyone, the power that you gave yesterday by voting this agenda and told us that we should continue, I'm going to ask for a motion as to whether we should continue to end this convention agenda or we should not continue given the constraints that have been listed here. So at this time, we'll ask for a motion to move whether we should continue or not. Can I get a motion for that? It's been moved by Mr. Robertson Dorbert. Any seconder for that? Then I how they can do it. Just wait. Listen up.
I second the motion.
Hold on. Everybody, let's educate again. Aminat, can we stop screaming across the floor? Everybody. Aminat. No, wait. Just wait. Aminat, the way motions are done, let me educate. Aminat, can you listen?
Order.
Okay.
Order. Order in the court. 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 Order in the court.
All the time we see what I've been on the agenda.
Order
right now.
in the court. If you fight, you will be asked to leave. Order in the court. Everyone return to your seats now. Order in the court. Please return to your seats. Please return to your seats.
Okay. All
Order
right.
in the court.
At this
Please return
point,
to your
I'm
seats.
going to continue and say to you,
Order in this.
when a
order in the
motion
court.
is instituted, the motion is seconded, then you have the opportunity to state if you have any issues with the motion. You do not object when the motion is in process. You wait and then you state your motion. So, Amina, can you have a seat, please? Okay, but then leave now. So, your objection has been noted. So, can you sit down? No, you gotta sit down and you'll be given a chance. Yeah, you'll be given a chance. It's not, no, you wait to be asked to state it. So, can you wait? So, thank you. Have a seat. Okay. Gosham, can you please try and get order behind her? Okay. Delegates, all delegates in the room, please stand up. If you're a delegate in a room, please stand up. Delegates in a room. No eating. If you are not a delegate, Francina Sinaya, Patience Dimini. If you are a delegate, please move to the side and stand up. If you are not a delegate, you have to be on the side of the room. That's what we decided this morning.
Call recess to settle this down. They're not going to stop any-
Thank you. So if you are a delegate, listen up, everybody. If you are a delegate, please stand up. If you are a delegate, please. So, delegates. No, stand up. Delegates, this is what we're going to do. We are going to take a vote of the delegates whether to continue or not before we go to motion. I'm going to ask all the delegates whether we're not doing a motion. We're not doing a motion. So we will take the vote of the delegates whether to continue or not. So, if you are a delegate, I'm going to go to you one by one. Sorry, Charles. Do you vote for us to continue, sir? Have a seat. Do you vote for us to continue? 2. Do you vote for us to continue? 3. Do you vote for us to continue? 4. Do you vote for us to continue? 5. Do you vote for us to continue? 6. Do you vote for us to continue? 7. Do you vote for us to continue? 8. Do we vote to continue or not? We're just asking if we should continue or not, then the body will decide. The agenda. Yeah, you can check if you need to. I can come back to you. Reverend Sesto, do you vote to continue or not? So we are only asking delegates if we should make a decision to continue the agenda or not. But we want delegates to make that decision whether we should even introduce that. But it's not on the agenda, so I'm saying, Taju, to get to that point, we need to agree to continue, then the agenda will be open up to be debated. We don't even agree here to put the agenda on the floor. No, we don't even have an agenda right now. So I'm saying you need to agree for an agenda before even you debate what's on it. So right now we are voting whether we should have an agenda or not. We don't have an agenda. So whether you want something or not, it doesn't matter.
Leo.
So do you vote in favor to go ahead and continue to have an agenda? Do you vote yes?
Uncle Leo, you can vote two ways.
I'm not waiting. Do you vote yes to continue? Yes to continue? Yes to continue? Say that when you vote. Say that when you vote. Do you vote yes to continue?
Everybody need to take their seats now.
Do you vote yes to continue? Have a seat. Mr. Hine. Mr. Hine. Mr. Hine. Do you vote yes to continue?
Please, we all need to have our seats.
Do you vote yes to continue? Have a seat. Do you vote yes to continue, Mr. Barry? Do you vote yes to continue? Do you vote yes to continue? Achi Bernard, do you vote yes to continue or not? Do you vote yes to continue? Okay, Gapita. Do you vote yes to continue? 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 If you guys are out there, you're not voting. Delegates should be this side, please.
Everybody's gonna calm down. There's no.
Do you vote yes to continue? Have a seat. Yes to continue? Yes to continue? Do you vote yes to continue? Okay. Everybody, please have your seats. Please have your seats. I want to put with sit down. And when you want to sit down, you can keep them up. Please have your seats, sir. Yeah, please sit down. Excuse me, Taju. Can we please have our seats? Let's just sit down, please. Dashi, can we have our seats, please?
Everybody, please have your seats.
Everybody, Adam, D1. Adam, D1. Can we have our seats, please? Thank you. Mr. Forde, Mr. Smith, can we have our seats, please? So can we sit down, please? So, everybody. Mr. Ryan, if you want to make noise, that's okay. We'll call the cops if you make noise. That's fine. So, just remember that you are president now, I will tell you. So, everybody, overwhelmingly, all of the delegates have said we should put the agenda that we passed a resolution back on the floor for the meeting to proceed. That means whenever we finish, if there is no banquet or dinner, we cancel it as well. Just so you know, because if we're not able to leave the hall when it's needed. So I'm just passing that out. So overwhelmingly, I took account by individual, and please ask to sit down as they were voting. We got 32 delegates in the room. Some people did not vote because they're going to walk out. So at this point, I will ask those who are against us continuing, complete that vote, to please stand up. If you are a delegate and you don't wish us to continue the agenda, please, everybody overwhelmingly has agreed in this room for us to continue. If you are a delegate and you have decided to abstain, please make it known by standing up so we also note that on the record. If you decided to abstain, there are three options. You can vote yes, you can vote no, or you can abstain. Seeing none, we will say, Madam Secretary, it passed overwhelmingly that we should proceed. So, again, my people, it's not respectful, Kwewa. I'm begging you all, can we please have our seats? Can you please have your seat? Can you please have your seat, everybody? Thank you. I love you all. So, we will continue. we will continue. I will read what was on the agenda for everybody's perusal. Yesterday morning, we came for the convention. We read the agenda as was introduced by the executive. We went through the process of opening it up. Most of the delegates in the room here, for example, were absent yesterday. Again, I think some may have sent in excuses. Some were not available. The agenda, I'm doing it for the benefit of those who may not have been here to hear what happened. We open the agenda up as it is usually done at every convention or any meeting for any delegate to add, subtract, modify anything that was on the agenda. The only person who added something on the agenda was Mr. James Wright on the record. We asked everybody said fair. We decided, should we vote on this agenda that it becomes the constituted order of the body? Everybody voted overwhelmingly. There was not one against. We proceeded. We ran out of time. We decided to take a motion extending the plenary to this morning because we were left with proposed constitutional amendments. We were left with our presentation report from Mr. James Wright, and we were left with selection of the next convention destination. That was what we voted upon. We got here this morning. We couldn't start because of the reasons already stated. We decided to go ahead with the training first. Now we're here. So I will, again, because this is a critical matter, I'm going to repeat. Please do not speak to individuals across the floor. If you're going to make a point, stand up, address the floor, make your point, state your issue, and please don't scream at somebody who does not agree with you. It's okay because at the end of the day, we will vote. Everybody will state their points, and if we have a divided room or deadlock in the room, we will go to vote, and whatever the vote says is what we would do. So, we have the agenda before us. The second stage of this, do we constitute, because that's what the debate is in the room, I'm not going to pretend like it's not here. We all know it's here. Do we constitute now, after closing the agenda, a new agenda in this agenda that was voted upon? Or, which means we are invalidating the agenda adopted from the beginning, and we are introducing a new agenda. Because when you adopt an agenda, it's already in the records. The particular issue that was mentioned, everybody is arguing across the room for yesterday, was during the question and answer period of the RVP's report. Someone asked the question, actually Taju and another person raised the question about the situation in Kitchener. Gapita spoke, her answer to it, actually Mr. Wright was the other person who asked that question. Gapita spoke to the issue as it was. Further conversations ensued. The board chair stood up and got involved. The delegates were asked, do we want to discuss this issue now giving the depth that's involved, or do we want to forward it to the board to investigate this issue and report back to the body? Okay, or forward it to the board. I mean, can we not speak across the floor? I mean, not across the floor. But I can't keep screaming. Mr. Hina, come out, recognize you to speak. Yeah. 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 Okay, when they say it was suspended, that means we are saying we don't want to discuss it here and the agreement was to send to the board. What did they say? Okay, so did we agree that we'll not discuss it yesterday, but we can discuss it today? That's what we agree upon? Okay. 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 Okay, can I repeat this? Can I ask all of you a favor? Amina, can I ask you a favor? Whenever you want to speak, you put your hand up. I recognize you. Don't I? I'm just asking. I said, do I not No, you've constantly, I'm coming. The reason I'm citing you out, you have consistently screamed back across the floor. So, yeah, because when we speak, we can recognize. Actually, you and I here, nobody put their hand up in this room that's not recognized. So, yeah, but you're not the one that recognize. Can we stop talking across the floor? Thank you. So we will take I'm asking you, delegates, can we take a vote as to whether we continue with the adopted agenda or we open it? Yeah, that's the highest decision-making body here. Or we introduce new agendas on the agenda. So, all those who want us to add new agenda items, as has been requested, on the agenda, if you're in favor of that, can you please stand up as a delegate? Please stand up if you're in favor of that. So, any delegate who's in favor of adding new items on the agenda, please stand up. Okay. All those in favor of continuing with the adopted agenda, please stand up if you're a delegate. Okay. It's not a motion. Okay. So, just so you know, it has been shown, so we will allow people to state their points concisely. But we've seen in the room that overwhelmingly people want to continue. It's only fair. Yeah, well, listen now. So Aminat, somebody gave the microphone to Aminat to state her point, but we have seen clearly, and if you want to re-vote 10 times, we can do it again. So state your point.
Thank you so much.
Have your seats, please.
Thank you for opening the agenda for us to ask something. Yesterday, it was suspended. It was not said, we did not say we're carrying it to the board for discussion. This matter is very important, and I'm going to say it clear. We are all here having problems because Amina is standing, she kept talking. We don't know what's happening. You are from your various communities, and if a community can born a baby while the mother is still living or while there are two babies there, and we are accepting that Kitchener is example. Kitchener has a community that is already existing. There was letter sent to the board for that community on the 23rd of this month, that they are still existing. They suspended that membership, and Kitchener born another baby through Leo. That baby is the one right here now with telephone members. It will happen in your community tomorrow. We don't have to vote yes. You don't have to accept it. We'll carry the message to your community that tomorrow it might happen to you. Another baby will come while you are living with other 30 members or 14 members, and they will come right here without any chapter right. Based on that, I am asking, I'm going to add that along with a motion that I move, if I can obtain a second, that Kitchener aspect, since it was suspended yesterday, it should be suspended.
No,
it should be suspended even for the election.
Okay, thank you.
If I can obtain a second.
So thank you. That's how they can do motion when other people are about to speak. We wait to speak. You hear everybody first before you move to that stage. So I'm sorry, the motion is not valid. Your point is taken. We will listen to all of the other options. If we move into a motion, then we move to a motion. So Taju has her hand up. Taju will speak. People will make their deposition. Please, if you make a motion, it's not valid until we are ready to go to a motion or vote. Go ahead, Taju.
The Honorable General Body, everybody here, can you guys hear me? Okay. Yesterday, this issue was brought on the floor, and it's very important, as I stated yesterday. This is a very important issue because here we have a president that has been working over time, and she's here, and her report has been brought into to discussion, and we're all aware that there are two communities or two, operating organizations in Kitchener, but it has been rebranded. And we want to state that it is difficult to accept that a community that's in existence can be rebranded and taking on all the previous work that was done. If there was a reason why there's a breakaway, let's state clearly that it's a breakaway. However, in order to recognize that, we need to state it right here. And we need to be clear about what we're going to do. It's not, trying to cover up. We don't want to cover up. So when I asked yesterday about the suspension, I asked suspended to what time? That was the reason why I said the motion that we voted on was incomplete, because it did not have a timeline. Now we're at this point. I really do not believe that this is a new item that is being introduced. It's really not a new item. It is based on the conversation that derived from the president's report. That's when we started to discuss it. That's when the issue came up. And because that issue came up, it has now automatically formed part of our agenda that was suspended. Please, my people, can we discuss this issue? This is the general body. This is the highest making decision body. Can we look into this, make decisions from here, and move on with it? We cannot always keep Kitchener or Waterloo on the hold every time we come here. Thank you.
So thank you. We got two statements asking, again, simple matter, that this issue be included for discussion. That's the request, to make it clear. It is not a motion. It is a request that this issue be added to the agenda for discussion. So the two requests have been taken in advisement. We hear from two more people, Dashi, Fode, and then we will put that request to the convention, which is the highest decision-making body, to decide whether or not we proceed that direction or not. Go ahead, Dashi, and then from there, Fode.
Hello. Okay, thank you very much, Leo. I think, Leo, speaking as a board member, I think the rightful things to do here, and this is exactly what I was trying to stop yesterday, because I saw this coming. But then, just to certify everybody, because this is a community thing, I think for people who are protesting right now, we can bring this motion and vote upon it again, either sending it to the board, whatever we have to do, let it be a last issue we can deal with, vote upon, and then we can move across that.
So thank you. You were saying we should bring it to the convention to make a decision either way. I just want to inform everybody, when the convention makes a decision, it is the decision. We just listened to governance training, that whether you agree to it or not in a democratic process, when majority makes a decision, that's why we're giving everybody the opportunity to make their statements on it before the decision is made. Mr. Fode, go ahead, please. That will be the final one, and then we will turn it over to the convention.
Okay. Okay, everyone, quiet down, please, quiet down. He's about to make a statement. Can everyone
please go ahead,
Mr.
Fode.
And do not interrupt him.
Thank you very much. It's not about people trying to disrupt the process, but it's about setting what we call precedents. Because if we don't take corrective measures today, tomorrow it might affect other cities around. And that is the reason why we are protesting. It is in the LAC Constitution, Section 6, Article 9. It says that LAC cannot permit two organizations within the same city. It is clear. You are not to do it. Even though LAC does not have authority over Liberians who want to, formulate several organizations. But for an organization to become a member of LAC, there should be only one organization in a city. So if you look at Kitchener, right, or Waterloo, because Waterloo is a municipality, right, where Kitchener is. You understand? Now, the organization that is there, it has not been dissolved. Mind you, suspending your membership or the organization suspending your membership does not in any way invalidate your membership with that organization.
Mr. Fode.
I'm coming here.
No,
I want to explain this before I state my motion.
Mr. Fode.
Before I say something.
Mr.
So this
Fode,
is the reason why.
Can we not speak across the floor? The question is, are you asking for us to continue? Because the issue you're going into is what we are asking to discuss. Other people will put their hand up too and won't explain. So I'm saying to you, let's just say if you want this to continue or to be included for this discussion, state that point. When we make that decision, the matter is open. Then everybody can provide the analysis. That's all I'm saying.
That's
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, sir. So, it has been, everybody have made their comments and made their remarks. It's now over to the convention. I'm going to ask the same question for the vote. We're going to vote on two things. And only delegates can vote. If you're not a delegate, you cannot vote. Do we want to continue with this matter of Kitchener-Waterloo discussion for this convention, or do we want this matter to not be continued on this agenda? It's the decision we have to make. Is that clear with everybody? Those are the two options. I will start. All those who want, I said two more. Is there something new? Is there new information? Go ahead. Exactly. Okay. Okay, so what do you suggest? Okay. Thank you. So the point he's making is two options. One, should it be discussed and handled here today by this convention? Or should the matter, I will not even say suspended, that is what brought the problem, should be forwarded to the board for resolution? Those are the two options we are voting on. Is it clear to everybody? Thank you. Mr. Charles Wright, is there new information? As president, I will give you the deference to be the last comment on this, and then we can move ahead. Go ahead, sir.
Is it possible for all to differentiate every city delegates?
So when you and I here, we made a decision that if you are a delegate, my left-hand side, which is this side of the room, all delegates that are eligible to vote have to be here. If you are an observer and not a delegate, the right-hand side of the room, so that we can separate the two groups.
I understand that. My concern is London has a table. We'd like Manitoba to have a table. Edmonton, Calgary.
So
Kitchener,
are you saying people
city.
can just call their name and say where they're from?
We expect to see community occupies a table. So we know when delegates are voting, the delegate from that table from Calgary, Edmonton, Kitchener, and every community have voted.
Yeah, so Mr. Wright, unfortunately, we got here this morning. If that from yesterday. Again, we are going to count, and I will use the microphone to count. 1, have a seat. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. He is from the board. Super delegate from the board. Yes. 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, Andrew 24, Team LA 25, 26, 27, 28, 20, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, are you voting? 34, are you voting? 35, are you voting? 36, 37, have a seat. 30, I counted you already, 37, but you gotta be here. No, if you're not here, I don't count you. 38. So, I just counted, please mark it, Madam Secretary, those voted in favor was 38. All those against and want this matter to be resolved here by the convention, please make it known by standing up, please. If you are a delegate, I will count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No, I didn't count her. 6. Agenti, are you voting? Are you voting? No, are you voting? 7. Any other delegate here? You're not voting? 4, are you voting? 8. I'm asking so I can count. Yeah, 8. So, if you're not, so, ladies and gentlemen, we took the vote. The third piece, anybody abstain? If you abstain from the vote, please stand up. 1. Okay. 2. All right. 2. 3. Who? 4. So we got 4 members. 4. What's the 5? But you got to be so. I can't count you if you're a delegate. You got to be here. So we got. We will call the results again, Madam Secretary. How many abstain? So we got 4. So she goes. So 5. So we got 5 delegates that abstained from the vote. How many against? We got 8 delegates that are against. That means it should continue to be discussed here. And how many voted to go to the board? 38 voted that it be sent to the board. The decision is made by the convention.
Yeah, I understand. Please, let cooler heads prevail again today. We can argue, we can make noise, we can shout at one another, but when a motion is put on the floor,
all of the cities that were represented, wasn't it? We read all the delegates and which city they were from. And that was adopted and approved by this convention. The reports that were done was accepted and officially inducted into our archives.
Okay.
Is that correct? So, Mr. Wright, does that answer your
Let me
question?
just learn, I beg you. Every city that is a member of LAC, we come under a name, a nomenclature, because that's what the Constitution said here. We don't want LAC to take on two cities. It's unconstitutional. That's why I asked the question, do we have a city? Do we have an organization in
Mr.
Kitchener?
Wright, can I call you to
Hold
an
on,
order? The convention just made a decision that we will not discuss this matter here. It will be sent to the board. Do we want to open it up for discussion?
I just asked what's going to be the status of Kitchener, that's all.
So, Mr. Wright, when we came here from yesterday, what was the status of Kitchener? And it was adopted on this convention floor. So anyway, everybody, everyone, thank you very much. The point that Mr. Wright put on the floor has been taken under advisement. We're here for another hour. So I will begin by reading the constitutional amendments. We had one on the floor yesterday that we started with, and that was an amendment from Vancouver. Vancouver put in a constitutional amendment asking for the term of the executive to be amended. Currently in the Constitution, it said 2 years for the term of executive and a maximum of 2 terms to be served. So Vancouver has recommended 3 years instead of 2 years. That was the first amendment we had on the floor yesterday. And we were about to vote when we decided that we should halt it. Vancouver put the amendment. Vancouver, is there any point you want to make to that before we take it to a vote? The constitutional amendment to change the terms of executives from 2 years to 3 years.
So the reason why we suggested or we put that into the constitutional amendment is that we found out that after election, it takes a little while before inauguration takes place, the president starts work, so it will take another, almost half of the president's year. Because of that, we deemed it necessary that we go to 3 years so that the president will have 2.5 years to work instead of having 1.5 years to work. That's the reason why we propose 3 years instead of 2 years.
So again, the procedure, just so you know, we don't debate constitutional amendments. If you have a question for clarification from the person that brought it, you can ask them to clarify, but we don't debate it because it goes to vote anyway to be determined whether or not it passes. So is that a question from you, sir? Or clarity from you? Is it a question? Because I will hold you if it is not. Go ahead. Ask your question or your clarity.
For me, what I see here, he point that he stressed concerning it will take longer time to go to inauguration. In my point, it's a lazy argument.
Andrew, can I call you to a point?
It's a lazy
We
argument.
cannot criticize people's amendment. I will override you. No, we cannot.
You can override Leo.
No,
you
listen
can
up.
override, but it's a lazy
Listen
argument
up.
for me.
Listen up.
Because it left for you.
Andrew.
You can be inaugurated today.
Andrew, it's
You can be
disrespectful.
inaugurated today.
Let me be this.
I'm not disrespecting
Listen
you.
up, everybody. It's disrespectful
it's
to
a
tell
lazy
somebody their amendment from a whole city is a lazy argument.
Yeah,
you can
because-
make your argument. You didn't put it. When your time comes, you
Okay,
make it.
okay.
You got a question, sir? Let's go to you. So again, I will come on our side from here. Everybody, we do not debate, nor describe, nor criticize people's amendments. If you got questions for clarification, you ask it. Go ahead, Ali.
What's your name again? Huh? Vancouver. So why do you feel a need to go for 3 years for a term instead of 2 years?
I think he explained that yesterday,
Okay,
but you can still go
but he
ahead.
actually just said, he said they feel that the 2 years time, because of the time inauguration happens, is short. So as such, they want an amendment for 3 years. So I will come to Achi, and then Kopo, I will come to you. Someone has the microphone.
Follow up, please.
Go ahead.
Governance is a continual process.
Yeah.
So whatever is not achieved by the government the other government can continue from there.
Okay.
So why does he feel the need that he should be the only person to achieve that goal?
That's the reason he gave. So I will not debate over his reason. I will go to Achi Bernard. Achi Bernard and then Kopo. So just so you know, if it's not a question or clarity, I will stop you because we have to continue. What is? No, hold on. The rules on are coming. Achi, I'm coming.
You get in.
So, everybody, let me state these rules again. They said if you had a constitutional amendment, there was a deadline set for it to be written and sent in. People wrote their amendments and sent it in. All we can do here, if you don't understand it, ask them a question, they clarify. Whether a correct, whether a wrong, it does not matter. This convention will decide that when it's put on the floor for a vote. So we're not here to evaluate people's amendments. Fode, do you have a question?
Absolutely. Leo?
Do you have a question, sir? But I'm saying we are only taking questions and clarity. That what the convention decided, not me. So are you overriding the convention? So can you wait? Let me take the questions first then. Adam, please go to Kopo. Let's take the questions.
Okay, excuse me. I think the order here is based on the... 1 second, Achi. You just been recognized to have a word. We just want to go from the questions concerning the constitutional amendment. If you have a statement, that can come right after the question. So we'll take Kopo, after Kopo. So the only thing... Well,
so everybody, we are saying, everybody, can we go to the questions first? Let the questions be addressed. So please, can you give it a couple? Let us ask the questions.
So after the couple,
then we'll hear
you've
comments.
already
Go
been
ahead.
acknowledged, Achi, that you have the opportunity. Thank you.
Kopo, Mr. Chair, please let Kopo ask a question. Mr. Chair, Mr. Chair, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, can you please allow us to continue? That's okay. Mr. Chair, can we please allow the process to continue? I love you. I love you, my people. Okay, Kopo, please.
Kopo still
please
is on the
proceed.
board, please.
Kopo Sele.
Okay, is there any constitution provision that says after election there must be 4 months before inauguration?
No. Thank you. Your question has been answered. Is it a question for the amendment? But West Achi Bernard, I will say this to you. I will give you one. Listen up, everybody. Eba, y'all get some decorum. I'm begging everybody. So everybody, some of you were not here yesterday when the convention was open. People voted on the rules of how we should conduct ourselves. So when I tell you, say, I can't allow you to do this, that's not my decision. The convention decided that. And the people who decided it are all here in the room. So actually what I was saying to you and to everybody, please, when the rule is when constitutional amendments are brought forth, whether they are crazy, whether they are wrong, whether they are incorrect, we don't have the power to debate it. If there's question for clarity, you ask, is provided. When it's put on the floor, the convention decides and vote. Even if that's the craziest rule, if this convention vote to pass it, it becomes law. So with that being said, actually, I will give you a minute to go ahead. Is the microphone on?
Thank you, Leo. So here is my issue. My issue have to do with the previous stuff that was being discussed by Mr. Red. Just 1 minute, please. Please, I beg you, 1 minute.
So, actually,
1 minute, please.
So you're taking us back to another
Please,
item?
1 minute. Just hear me. If you will not accept it, let me just say it, please.
Because everybody else me give
Leo, if I was speaking, I'm done by now. I was in here yesterday, like you keep saying, granted, Red before every one of us, we all voted in a huge number for the Kitchener issue to be taken to the same board that have not been able to resolve the issue over 1 year. Here is my point. Now we just voted. Over 1 minute we voted. And then if we have voted just now, then many Kitchener not even supposed to have a delegate because they are under investigation. We need rocket scientists to come and tell us. So we need no rocket scientists. We need anyone to be sent in our year. We just said that they are under investigation. That alone disqualify them.
Thank you.
That's all.
Thank you. So we will proceed. Any question for the constitutional amendment? Question, please. Constitutional amendment. Go ahead.
Yeah. Thank you. Vancouver or
Vancouver, it came
okay,
from.
Vancouver. You are asking for an extension of the tenure to 3 years.
Yes.
And the Constitution forbids for the executive and the board to have the same tenure. Do you consider that in your recommendation to also recommend for the board tenure to be extended? Because the board and the executive cannot have the 3-year tenure. Do you consider that?
Well, the board, let me say, the tenure of the board is being considered by the board. The board has their own rules that govern them, right? So definitely, our own focus was just the presidency, because the presidency tenure of working is what we have issue with, right? Because despite the governance is continuity, but despite that, we have presidents who have their own personal agenda they bring to the table as a president or as a secretary. So extending the tenure to 3 years, it will help them so as to be able to work better.
All right, thank you. So at this point, we have to move the amendment to a vote. And by the way, you need 2/3 majority for any constitutional amendment to pass. You need 2/3 majority of all the delegates. So go ahead. Is there a question about the amendment? Go ahead, Fode. Fode, go ahead.
So, what, Vancouver?
Yeah, Vancouver.
Vancouver. Let me state my question this way.
No, not simple.
Even if you give the leadership 6 years, it will still not be enough. Even if you gave 10 years, it will still not be enough, quite frankly. I want you to reconsider your decision in that line. But don't you think by giving the leadership another term, it could, generate resentment for the fact that they stay long in power?
You want to answer that? You're not obligated to answer it. You want to answer? Or we should move ahead? Okay, we'll move ahead. So the amendment is put on the floor. If you are a delegate, all those in favor for amending the Constitution, no. What thing? No, we just move to the vote. All those in favor of amending the term of the executive from 2 years to 3 years, if you're a delegate, please stand up. From 2 to 3, 2 years, please stand up.